We got some pretty major updates in the Jussie Smollett case. And it looks like now, if we're going to trust the Crime Watch blog, who, in my opinion, they've absolutely earned a decent amount of my trust. They've been fairly correct, throughout this investigation. It sounds like the FBI, federal investigators, I believe it's the FBI, are now coming. They're getting involved. And Jussie Smollett apparently has brought in a high-powered defense attorney. Things are getting interesting. We learned the other day, and again, take all this with a grain of salt because I've only got a couple sources pulled up. I don't want to say any of this is definitive. This is all based off of the ongoing story, which is changing. But my understanding is that when the New York Post found a Tabasco bottle which smelled like bleach, the FBI was aiding in the investigation, and the police said they weren't sure if it went to the FBI or to their lab, which means it's very likely the feds are involved. And we're hearing from Crime Watch blog Chicago that the FBI, or I'm sorry, that federal investigators, they say. But first, we have this update from TMZ, and I got to love the fact that TMZ is one of our sources on this one because it's celebrity gossip. But the information's information. Now, here's what we've learned so far. These two guys, they were first considered persons of interest, not suspects. They got arrested as suspects. Okay. And now here's where it gets crazy. The rumor mill was that they were charged with battery, meaning it seems like the police said, you know what? Smollett on Good Morning America said these guys are the ones who attacked him. We got him on camera, charge him. But something happened. They've been released without charge. Getting interesting, isn't it? I'm going to go ahead and make let's read the story. I've got some assumptions I want to make, but I want to read through this, and we've got the other story too. So the two men who were arrested, then released Friday night in the Jussie Smollett case, are pro-LGBTQ and anti-Trump, which has people on the Empire set scratching their heads. We've spoken with Empire cast and crew, and they say Ola and Abel Osundairo do not fit the profile of racists and homophobes, not even close. As we reported, both men have been extras on Empire for years, and both are friendly with Jussie, and Abel is especially close to him. We're told Jussie would frequently approach the brothers on set and chat about health and fitness. Our Empire sources say Abel especially is an ally of the LGBTQ community, and neither have ever said anything positive about Trump. They're both big Obama fans. We're told Abel worked as an Empire extra as recently as a month ago. They're considered family on the set, well-known and well-liked by cast and crew. The folks we've spoken with say they find it impossible to believe Ola and Abel have the DNA of criminals who would carry out the acts that Jussie describes. And obviously, cops now believe that as well. Police arrested the brothers for battery Friday after cops raided their home Wednesday and seized a long list of items, including several bottles of bleach. However, late Friday, Chicago PD released the brothers due to new evidence gathered from their interrogation, and they said they're no longer suspects. What does that mean? Brothers rolled, man. I'm going to go ahead and make the assumption they just rolled on Jussie, and that's it. They were going to be charged with battery. Jussie said on Good Morning America, these are the guys who did it. These guys got arrested, and then they probably said, I'm not going down for this dude. And I'm going to have to assume they told the cops, nah, this is what really happened. As we reported, Jussie initially said his attackers were white, yet another fact that just doesn't track with the Osundairo's profile. But now we have an update from Crime Watch blog. Now, I'm gonna say this, even though I did preface this in the beginning, this is a local blog, right? And it's hard to gauge trust on a source I'm not familiar with. Just because they're small, independent, or citizen journalism doesn't mean you can't trust them. By no means. It just means they got a credit. I would say it's not a negative credit rating. It's a no credit history available kind of thing. So it's kind of like they're not untrustworthy. But I will say this: they've been pretty spot on with a lot of the reporting throughout the Smollett case. So I lean more towards trusting them. The point is, take it all with a grain of salt. Let's read through what they have to say. And I mean no disrespect to Crime Watch blog, just that. I'm not familiar with their work or their history, but let's read this. 2 out, Smollett at the plate. Lakeview brothers released by cops and feds as all eyes turn to Jussie. Chicago police late Friday released 2 Lakeview men who had been questioned for 2 days as potential persons of interest and later suspects and arrested for battery, then released. This is getting crazy. In the alleged hate crime attack of Empire TV star Jussie Smollett. Due to new evidence as a result of today's interrogations, Abimbola Osundairo and his brother Olabinjo Osundairo were released, said Anthony Guglielmi, the top spokesperson for the Chicago police. Detectives have an additional investigative work to complete. The Osundiros are no longer considered suspects by the investigators, whose full attention is now focused squarely on Smollett, according to well-established sources. I just got to say, I just got to point out, I mean, we all kind of knew we'd get to this point. And I think with the release of these brothers, them being the only other people in the area, and the people that Jussie Smollett identified, 99%. Okay, I reserve judgment until the police say definitively this is what happened. Jussie Smollett staged a hoax. However, if I had to put money down right now, I would put all of my money on he staged a hoax. All of it straight up. I think that's a really, really, really good bet to make. But I don't want to say it's definitive. But I'm pretty sure we're just about there. Crime Watch blog, CW, I believe it's Crime Watch blog, but CWB Chicago has learned that federal investigators sat in as Chicago police interrogated the Osundaro brothers for 2 days after the men were taken into custody at O'Hare Airport on Wednesday evening. The Osundaros flew into the airport minutes later, returning from a trip to Nigeria that began hours after Smollett reported being attacked. Really strange. Their status with police evolved from potential persons of interest to potential suspects to being unable to leave custody because investigators had probable cause that they were involved in a crime to being set free in the course of 48 hours. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Smollett has lawyered up big time. And this I know I've heard from other sources as well, so I believe to be true. High-priced defense attorney and former federal prosecutor Michael Monaco told WLS AM's Ro Khan on Friday that he was representing Smollett at the moment. Now why would Jussie Smollett retain the services of a high-priced defense attorney, a famed former federal prosecutor, to have represent him with feds involved? Sounds like Jussie not only staged a hoax, but they're going hard at him. Now, a lot of people, there's two scenarios as to why this crime had to be solved. That Chicago has, the police relations with the black community particularly are often strained, especially with like Black Lives Matter. And so with a potential racist hate crime against a gay black man, the police had to show they would take it seriously and stop at nothing and spare no expense to make sure these men were brought to justice. I actually agree with that. If there are dudes running around screaming MAGA country, throwing bleach on people, hell yeah, arrest those guys. That's terrifying. These people should not be allowed to roam freely on our streets. However, the other scenario is that if this was a hoax hate crime, it's making the police look bad. It's making Chicago look like a racist, terrible place. And that's bad for the police. It's bad for the image of the city. And so once again, they should spare no expense to get to the bottom of this. All in all, the only thing they could have done was make sure they solved this crime. And I applaud them for doing so. Absolutely. Crime should be solved. I understand, not every crime you can throw all of your weight into. Federal investigators have been looking into the origins of a hate letter that was mailed to Smollett from the southwest suburbs about a week before he reported being attacked. The mailing, which contained a white powder that reportedly turned out to be Tylenol, mentioned Smollett by name and included anti-black and anti-gay slurs, as well as a stick figure bound in a noose. Its return address was MAGA, a reference to President Donald Trump's 2016 Make America Great Again slogan. Many of the elements of the letter were reflected in the details of the attack that Smollett gave to police. And this I find strange, and I've mentioned this in another video. Trump supporters have pointed out that MAGA is a positive term on their side, and it's using it in this way is more of a racist caricature of what a Trump supporter actually is. And I got to say, it's entirely possible. Nothing's absolute. There are probably some Trump supporters who are lunatic fringe weirdos who do weird stuff, so it's not impossible by no means. In fact, somebody who's going to mail a letter with a noose-bound stick figure, probably one of the crazy people, so I wouldn't be surprised, but it does seem strange. The actor has been outspoken about his displeasure with Trump, most recently telling Good Morning America that he believed that his opposition to Trump may have been a motivating factor for his purported attackers. I come really, really hard against 45, he said. I come really, really hard against his administration, and I don't hold my tongue. And that's fair, too, right? So initially, a lot of people were saying it's like they believed that because he was so outspoken against Trump, it's evidence that he staged the hoax. Well, no, it's not. Him coming out against Trump so hard and being high profile, it's possible. A lot of people have said, why would these people be wandering Chicago late at night? No. they may be like, if this is true, they mailed him something. Yeah, they maybe knew who he was and they were looking for him. But let's hold our horses. I'm pretty sure at this point, with these dudes being released, arrested for battery, because if they arrested him for battery, it sounds like they had they had evidence, right? That they were involved somehow in the incident. If they're being released, it doesn't mean that they're still involved in the incident. So, so they say, but in a case of misery making strange bedfellows, Smollett's new attorney, Monaco, also represents Michael Cohen, the former longtime personal attorney for the president. Well, that's interesting. Standing outside Area Central Police Headquarters Friday night, the Osundaira brothers' lawyer dropped hints that the road ahead may be rough for Smollett. She said, "My guys are walking home. They are not charged." Gloria Schmidt said before indicating the Osundairas had information about the Smollett case that was shared with police after some coordination. And she pointed out, "I'm not part of Jussie's defense." Sounds to me, these guys rolled on Jussie, that he may have called them, asked them to come down. One of the bits of information, it's a potential rumor, again, we need confirmation from police and law enforcement, is that the police subpoenaed Smollett's phone records. They knew who he was calling. And Smollett turned over redacted phone records. So the police compared the two lists, looked at the numbers who were redacted, and said, these are the Osundaira brothers. And they found out who the people were in the cameras. Bingo. Gotcha. So I'm just saying this. I don't want to go too long. I'd throw my money down on it being a hoax. Now, look, I know a lot of people on the right have already come out waving flags and parading around. I can't do that. I can't. And I tweeted out an ABC7 story that talked about it, and I got rid of that tweet because as much as we'd like to say it seems beyond a reasonable doubt at this point that Smollett lied. I mean, he claimed the guys were white. We know that's not true at this point. At the same time, I really don't want to, who knows? We're basing information off what we've heard from the press. It's entirely possible. But I doubt it. Again, like I said, I'd throw all my money on betting this guy made it up. But again, we need confirmation. So anyway, stick around. Another video coming up at 1 p.m. Any updates on the story? I'll have the video when it happens. We'll see where it goes. But thanks for hanging out. I'll see you at 1 p.m.